This is CBC Here and Now.
One step closer to beginning the inquiry into the treatment of Innu children.
The world needs to know what happened with our children that are under care of child welfare.
Coming up on Here and Now.
Well, it's a great start to the weekend. There's lots more where that came from.
We bought one rapid test for $14.99 and a pack of two for $24.99.
There's lots the provincial government can be doing to make sure that it's less of a Wild West.
Most provinces provide rapid tests for free to whoever needs them.
But not here. Community groups and health experts want that changed. Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain. Those stories just ahead, but we start with an unexpected and significant jump at the gas pumps.
Yes, just a day after the Public Utilities Board set its regular weekly rate, it's intervened to raise gasoline prices by more than 8 cents a litre. Now that puts the cost on the Avalon at more than $2 a litre. It's even higher in other parts of the province. There are also shocking jumps in the price of heating oils this morning. Stove oil is up by 27 cents a litre on the island and more than 18 cents a litre in Labrador. Furnace oil is up by more than 26 cents a litre across the province, and diesel also saw an increase. On the island, it's up more than 30 cents a litre, while in Labrador it increased more than 20 cents a litre. Now the board blames the increases on commodity market developments. So what are drivers saying about the increases in gas? Well, we pop by the pumps to find out.
I'm frustrated, very frustrated. Every time I go to the pump, I say, my gosh, it's gone up again. It's gone up again.
What kind of feeling do you get when you drive past and you see the price at over $2?
It's time to start riding my bike, if the weather wasn't like this.
How are you feeling it in your business?
There's a lot of competition and the price, of gas is up, so obviously that's, it comes into your overhead expenses. So, it's less money in the pocket after that for everything else. So.
How much driving do you do with your business?
Probably like 80 kilometers a day, which, is, I use about 21, 22 liters per 100 kilometers. So that's, $40 a day. That's gone there, so.
Do you do a lot of driving in your day-to-day?
For back and forth to work, but for leisure-wise, we have a cabin that's about 2 hours away from right now, so we are reconsidering looking at that too. Certainly have cut back a lot on traveling to that.
It's becoming increasingly difficult to get around, especially for my generation, like trying to balance living, earning, and getting around to and from work. Like, it can make or break your week if you can't get anywhere based on those prices.
I'm a senior citizen, so I get one check a month, so you can't go nowhere. You can't go visit friends and all that because it costs too much, right? And I think the government should do something about it.
And what do you think about all of the fluctuations of the prices? It's changed 18 times in the past 8 weeks.
It has created a lot of uncertainty and discomfort. And you find yourself rushing to get to the pump the moment it drops down.
I think they should drop the tax. I really do.
Well, on that, Premier Andrew Furey didn't make any promises to drop the tax on gas, but he did say he believes measures already announced in the budget will help consumers deal with rising prices.
We don't set the price of gas, it's set through the PUB. There is an active review ongoing about the PUB from Minister Hogan's department. We think that we've tried to address the stress and strain through Budget 2022, not indirectly by encompassing the revenue we make from the gas to give it back to people in different ways, whether that's relief from their tax on insurance on their homes and relief on their motor vehicle registrations. We understand the pressure that people are facing, but we don't control the price of gas.
All the weather out there today, pretty gray for most of us. Extensive cloud cover, as you can see across the province. Some showers working their way through as well. And if we zoom out a little bit, you can see the reason for that. It's an area of low pressure to the south right now. This will be our weather maker right through the weekend as it stalls, essentially moves a little bit over the province as we head through the weekend. But overall, it is going to be unsettled. We've got some colder air. This blue is that colder air wrapping around this area of low pressure, and it is leading to the potential, or we're already seeing some flurries and light snow through parts of the maritime provinces, and that is headed our way. So we can expect to see some flurries in some areas as we head through even the night tonight, mainly up across Labrador. But as that cold air starts to wrap in a little bit more, those higher elevations certainly going to be at that risk for some snow over the next couple of days. Shouldn't accumulate too much, but that risk certainly still there. By the time we get into Saturday, most of us looking at rain, even rain for southeastern portions of Labrador, and then eventually we will see that snow. Environment Canada has issued a rainfall warning for parts of Labrador. I'll have the full forecast, tell you how much to expect when I get back.
Thanks, Ashley. A long-awaited inquiry has moved another step forward. Today, Innu leaders, the inquiry's commissioner, and politicians gathered at the Confederation building to announce the terms of reference for the Commission of Inquiry into the treatment, experiences, and outcomes of Innu in the child protection system. Here now's Mark Quinn reports.
It started with a prayer from Innu elder Teresa Andrew, translated by Innu leader Anastasia Cupie.
I'm glad to be here and wish everybody well in their work that they're going to do.
Innu Nation Deputy Grand Chief Marianne Nui says it's going to be challenging work that takes a hard look at deep-rooted trauma.
The community and the world needs to know what happened with our children that are under care of child welfare. The world needs to know what happened and why there's so much suicide and why there's so much anger.
Nui drew comparisons between the child welfare system that continues today and the residential school system that's been dismantled.
Our children that were in a child welfare lost a lot as well. They lost their languages, they lost their tradition, they lost their culture. I mean, what more can I say about that? You know, we are facing a lot of past traumas today, and that's why we have a lot of social problems.
The terms of reference call for the inquiry to be guided by truth-telling and the restoration of Innu culture and self-determination. Commissioner James Igloliorti says the inquiry is necessary to improve the way Innu children are treated in the future.
The parties recognize that there's a long-standing issue of not appreciating the impacts on Innu families, on Innu culture, and our job then is to help the Innu Nation as they move towards self-governance in determining how they begin with child protection.
Commissioner Igloliorti says the hearings are likely to begin in the fall. They're likely to be mostly in Labrador. Recommendations from the inquiry will likely come more than a year after that. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Two more people in the province have died of COVID-19 since Wednesday. Public Health says 16 people are now in hospital due to the virus, which is down one person since the last update. 4 of those 16 are in critical care. And Public Health says there have been 228 new cases, but the real number is higher because of the province's reduced testing. Eastern Health says it's now bringing some staff into work even if they have COVID-19. The health authority changed its policy a week ago, but it only applies in certain specific circumstances. It says it will only bring in a worker with COVID if there's no one else to fill in and their absence would compromise patient care. The person's symptoms have to be improving and they can't have a fever. They'll also have to wear protective equipment. Illness from COVID has put an extra strain on the healthcare system. Several weeks ago, the health minister said there were hundreds of healthcare workers who were either sick or self-isolating or both.
Rapid tests are considered a useful tool to help determine if someone has COVID-19, but many people can't get them for free. We're one of 3 provinces who have to pay, and that's created a market for tests, making them unaffordable for some. Tonight, we have 2 of our reporters looking into this. Both Meg Roberts and Daryl Roberts examine why some say the rapid test situation is a cause for concern.
Over the past few weeks, we've heard a lot from community organizers about the lack of access to free rapid tests. They say some simply can't afford them. But if you don't have a child in school, your options are limited.
We wanted to find out exactly how much these tests cost and how many hours of work is that for a low-wage earner. It turns out it depends on where you shop.
So we're outside Marie's Mini Mart. We drove past and we noticed a big sign saying that they were selling rapid tests. So we're gonna go inside and purchase some. Here, they're both the rapid response.
We bought 1 rapid test for $14.99 and a pack of 2 for $24.99.
So say you had a family of 4 and you each wanted 2 rapid tests, that's about $100.
Yeah. We got this test here at Piper's. They're only selling them in single packs for $14.99.
Which is the same as Marie's, except for on the bill here, we've noticed that we've been charged $2.25 in tax.
Hello, Orange Pharmacy.
Hi there, I'm wondering if you guys are selling rapid tests right now.
46 bucks with taxes.
So $46 for 2 rapid tests?
Yeah.
Some are calling the sale of rapid tests the Wild West, with little oversight from the provincial government. We sat down with an infectious disease expert from Ontario.
It's crucial that tests be made available in a way that's affordable for people, because otherwise they simply won't test.
CBC News has asked the provincial health department for an interview multiple times, but instead were sent a statement. The government says it has no control over the retail of rapid antigen tests by vendors. Retail outlets that sell rapid tests source their own stock and are not supplied any tests from the federal supply. But some are arguing that's the issue. There's no control.
There's lots the provincial government can be doing to make sure that it's less of a Wild West. And to help people to navigate that, because across the country, we cannot say that we are living with COVID unless we are providing the tools to people, to all people, to be able to manage COVID and to make good decisions for ourselves and our communities.
Now, these were only a few of the retailers selling rapid tests in the province, but earlier this week, 34 community organizations and healthcare providers penned a letter asking the provincial government to take the price tag off rapid tests entirely.
They say for people who are struggling to put food on the table, paying the retailer's price for these rapid tests just isn't an option.
That was Meg Roberts and Daryl Roberts reporting. Well, from COVID tests to vaccines, the pandemic made Moderna a household name in Canada. The drug giant intends to keep it that way by building a manufacturing facility in Quebec, one that promises to create hundreds of jobs.
Being able to produce made in Canada mRNA vaccines is not just important for COVID-19 or for future pandemics. It also will have a significant impact in the research that they're doing on a range of illnesses. We talked about Alzheimer's, we talked about cancers.
Construction is set to begin this year, and the facility is expected to be operational by 2024. Once completed, it will be able to produce up to 100 million mRNA vaccine doses annually. Canada has imported more than 29 million doses of Moderna's vaccine. Its doses are authorized for everyone 6 years of age and older. The drug maker is now seeking Health Canada approval to offer shots for kids between 6 months and 5 years.
The federal housing minister was in St. John's today for a big funding announcement. Premier Andrew Furey joined Ahmed Hassan this morning at the gathering place. $20.2 million was announced to create 100 housing spaces for vulnerable people. A part of that money will go towards renovating the old Sisters of Mercy convent. The Gathering Place plans to operate the building, which will include 56 new supportive housing units and 40 emergency shelter beds. The Newfoundland and Labrador Housing Corporation is also getting a piece of the pie, with 36 1- and 2-bedroom affordable homes will be built in Pleasantville and St. John's, and those units are expected to be finished within 1 year.
Access to safe and affordable housing is vital to helping individuals and families build a stable and secure future. With a safe roof over their heads, they can focus on reaching their full potential for themselves and for the community at large.
Well, a good chunk of the province is going to see rain this weekend. Just how much? I'll have those details coming up.
Weather update is brought to you by the Healthcare Foundation Home Lottery. Early bird deadline is midnight, Friday, May 6th. Order tickets now at hcfhomelottery.ca.
It was a real gray, foggy day out there today. I was out earlier talking to people about gas prices, and it just kind of put a chill in my bones. The moisture in the air, it was cold.
Yeah, especially after, feeling the warmth of that sunshine yesterday. It certainly makes days like today feel definitely a bit chilly. But let's take a look at what's going on out there. Lots of cloud cover to talk about. You can see some of those showers showing up on the radar too, particularly for eastern Newfoundland. But we're in that onshore flow again, so we are seeing some fog out there. And this is all falling as snow up across Labrador as we have some of that colder air in place, but that area of low pressure just to the south right now, but we are seeing some of those bands of rain. And as that system continues to track a little bit closer, slowly, but it will track closer, much of the same is going to continue. Now, temperatures today, top spot was Marystown, 10 degrees. Same thing for the Rec House area. Overall, those temperatures, though, are in the single digits, mid-single digits. And then across Labrador, temperatures reached 2 degrees in Lab City today. And then still gray, though, with that temperature around -1 for Happy Valley Goose Bay. So if you take a look at what's happening today, not quite as foggy as it has been certainly yesterday. We are still seeing that fog around there, but sitting at about 4 degrees right now, no wind generally, so it is feeling still like 4 degrees. But taking a look at the current temperatures right now, -1 is what it's feeling like in Happy Valley Goose Bay, so you haven't moved too much today. And then temperatures across the board have dropped down to about 8 degrees in Stephenville and 5 in Port-aux-Basques. So speaking of temperatures in Happy Valley Goose Bay, not the nicest. Taking a look at the live look there, we are seeing some snow, and about 18-19 centimeters has been reported since that snow started in Happy Valley Goose Bay, and we are going to continue to see that snow as we head through the night tonight. So taking a look at the temperatures tonight, they're going to dip down to about -4 for you, and expect another 5, maybe around 5 centimeters of snow for the most part. Otherwise, temperatures dipping to about 1 to 5 degrees across the island. The winds will stay light, but we are going to see that snow transition through to rain for southeastern portions of Labrador. Temperature overnight in Cartwright should sit around 0 degrees. So taking a look at what's happening right now, there's that colder air, or at least the snow that I was talking about, where that colder air is wrapping around. And we're going to see that colder air continue to wrap around as we head through the night tonight. Now, overall, not a whole lot. We're actually seeing some breaks in the cloud cover, so I'm sure some of you are seeing some a little bit of sun peek through anyway. But overall, unsettled conditions will continue tonight, and you can see that pretty well on the future tracker. Snow, the story for Labrador, but there's that transition I was talking about for southeastern Labrador. So the snow, you're going to see some rain that will be heavy at times as well. And then there's the potential right on the northern tip of the Bayvert Peninsula that we could see some freezing rain, patchy freezing rain at that, but Environment Canada has issued a special weather statement for you. Otherwise, by the time we get into early Saturday morning, that's when we'll start to see some of that heavier rain move in for the Avalon, and expect that right across the board through central and then eventually towards the west coast as we get into the evening hours on Sunday. Then that colder air wraps around. Some of the higher elevations could see some snow in the mix as well. So how much snow are we talking about? Mainly for central Labrador and in those higher elevations. You could see another 5 to 10 centimeters by tomorrow morning, likely closer to 5, but then some areas may pick up even more than that, close to 15, even 20 centimeters is possible again in those higher elevations. So rainfall warnings though, as you head towards the coast, rainfall amounts that we're talking about, generally light for most of the island, but then if we zoom in, you can see likely 20, maybe even 40 millimeters of rain is possible. So forecast for tomorrow, not looking great, but overall about 5 to 8 degrees for eastern areas of the island. The winds again won't be significant. Through central, you're looking at about 3 to 6 or 7 degrees through the day. And then same thing as you head towards the west coast. Not a whole lot of change in the temperatures. You may see a few peaks of sun down extreme southwestern portions of the island. Otherwise, between 3 to 5 degrees for the northern peninsula as well. Winds will be a bit breezy for you, though, out of the north between 40 to 60 kilometers per hour. And then again, nicest weather will be for the north and west, particularly the West Lab City will sit around 3 degrees for your Saturday. So weekend stays gray for some. I'll have those details coming up.
Prince Edward Island wants to change the name of its famous Confederation Bridge, undoing a decision made years ago by Ottawa. PEI wants it to have the name first proposed when the bridge was built more than 30 years ago, an anglicized version of the Mi'kmaq name for the province. The CBC's Wayne Thibodeau has more.
Since its opening in June of 1997, this structure has been known as the Confederation Bridge, but that could soon change.
Having the bridge named Abigail Crossing is a huge deal.
Today in the PEI legislature, all three political parties unanimously supported a motion calling on the federal government to change the name to Abigail Crossing. The motion says it is one way for Prince Edward Island and Canada to show a commitment to upholding the rights of Indigenous people. The province is proposing using Mi'kmaq spelling for the name given to the island by the first Mi'kmaq who lived here. It means cradled on the waves.
You know, it's a small step, but a very significant step in terms of true and meaningful reconciliation. And we have to all walk that journey together, and to see all party support is a sign that, once again, our small province of Prince Edward Island is leading by example.
The term Abigail is part of everyday life for us here. I think Islanders largely are inclusive and supportive of a more inclusive society. I think that we're very proud of Confederation and will always be proud of Confederation, and this is in no way trying to rename or reshape history.
Back in 1996, people were asked to submit suggestions for the name of the bridge, and a panel made a recommendation. It actually wanted to call the bridge Abigail Crossing way back then. The federal minister at the time thought Confederation Bridge was better, a controversial decision.
Federation Bridge doesn't have the rich history that Epiquet would have, because Epiquet was called that by the Mi'kmaq people for as long as they were here, which goes back to about 10,000 years.
The final decision now lies with the federal government. Senators and the provincial politicians behind the motion would like to see the change made before the end of the year. In a statement to CBC News, MP Lawrence McCauley called it a worthwhile proposal and says it will be given serious consideration. Wayne Thibodeau, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Well, some call it the Airbnb of rental cars. The car-sharing app Turo plans to launch in this province.
But it has raised some questions around your insurance policy. We'll explore that next.
Well, there's a car-sharing app coming to the province on May the 17th, and we told you about Turo earlier this week. It's a car-sharing app that operates pretty much like an Airbnb, but it's for vehicles, and lots of questions have emerged about this whole thing, and our Chrissy Holmes has been looking for some answers. So Chrissy, I know this app is already up and running in some other provinces, but how did it come about here?
Well, Anthony, it was actually Hospitality NL that reached out to the San Francisco-based company, and they were really looking for a creative solution to address the rental car crunch this come home year. Now, it's a solution that is already up and running in Ontario, out west in Nova Scotia, and soon in PEI. Now, for the host, the vehicle owner, it's a way to make some extra cash by renting your vehicle out, and for the user, of course, it's access to a vehicle, which Hospitality NL Chair Brenda O'Reilly says will get people to the rural places they want to go.
Well, the tourism industry, unlike, other industries, we're in every nook and cranny. We are, urban, but we're very rural. And so we need people to get out to, see the whole beautiful province and up through Labrador. And, so obviously with the rental car agencies, they're mostly located in, airport towns, right? So, the good thing about Turo, if it does work, the good thing is that it'll be more accessible in more places throughout the province, not just, the airport towns.
So basically, Turo works like an Airbnb, but for cars. You or I can list personal vehicles on there. The vehicles have to be in good mechanical conditions. They have to be less than 12 years old, have less than 200,000 kilometers. The company says vehicles are vetted and inspected, and everything is up to code. Now that part sounds simple, but the more complicated part of this, of course, is the insurance.
Yeah, questions of risk. So is this commercial or personal insurance? How's that going to work?
It's a good question. The way it works, Turo takes a portion of the rental earnings, and in exchange, they cover the insurance when your vehicle is being rented. So while your car is rented out, it is covered by Economical, which is Turo's insurance provider. Now, that company hadn't operated here before, so to do that, the company had to go through Digital Government and Service NL because they are in charge of regulating the insurance matters here in the province. So they got the green light, but a lot of questions still remain. Earlier this week, government opposition members raised concerns about the unknowns and potentially high insurance costs associated with renting your vehicle here. So I asked Minister Sarah Studley to explain that part today.
People have their own auto insurance, and anytime you do anything that might not be in your policy, it's important to chat with your insurance company. So if I was a real estate agent or if I delivered pizzas, anything that's outside of the normal standard use of me driving my car to work, to the grocery store to pick up my kids, anything outside of that, you would have to call your insurance company and talk to them. Some might allow it, some might not, some might have to give you a different kind of policy. So it's really important that, if you're interested in Turo or any other use really of your vehicle outside of the normal kind of intended use of your car, to call your insurance company and have that conversation.
I did exactly what Minister Studley suggested. I called my insurance provider. They told me that in order to use Turo, I would need commercial coverage. And that company doesn't offer that. So I ended up calling another and another. And I won't bore you with the details, but 5 phone calls in deep, I did not get a clear answer. I did get something from one commercial broker, though, who told me that commercial coverage starts at $4,500.
So do all Turo users in the country require commercial coverage in order to list their cars? Because I'm sure some people watching think, I could actually put my car up.
It's a good question, Anthony, and so far what I've learned is not elsewhere. I actually called a Turo host in Dartmouth, Geneviève Haché, and she told me that when she wanted to list on the app, she did the same thing. She went through the whole insurance game on the phone for hours. Her personal insurance actually told her that they wouldn't cover it, so she got on the phone again, made some more calls. She then found a broker in her province that was able to find an insurance provider that would extend personal coverage to her and allow her to list her vehicle on Turo. In fact, Geneviève said she ended up saving over $1,000 on the annual cost just by making a few phone calls. Now, meanwhile, Turo says as long as you've got that personal insurance, it'll cover you for the commercial use. But just as we heard Minister Studley say, you still need to call your own insurance company. Now, Geneviève said she had to shop around. Andrew Mock with Turo says, this is all new here. And it might take a little bit of time for everyone to get up to speed on how all of this works. But he says they've overcome this challenge elsewhere.
You know, for us, we really think it's just a matter of education, because we're innovating and we're presenting this new concept. I think a lot of insurance providers, they don't just quite understand exactly how peer-to-peer car sharing works. And so we've dealt with this, and we've solved this problem in many other places around the world.
I also reached out to the Insurance Bureau of Canada and got this response from Amanda Dean, the Vice President of Atlantic Region. She said, from an insurance perspective, car sharing platforms have been working in other provinces for a number of years. There is no reason to suppose it will not work in Newfoundland and Labrador. She went on to say, as the sharing economy expands, so does the need for new insurance products, and insurers that are ready and willing to adapt. The added challenge in the Newfoundland and Labrador market is that there are fewer insurers operating in the province. So in short, there are still many questions on just how all of this will work for users, for insurance companies, and whether all these players can merge to get this plan on the road in time for peak tourism season.
True, Chrissy, especially with everybody talking about how difficult it is to rent cars come home here. We'll see what happens. Thanks a lot, Chrissy.
Thanks, Anthony.
are growing hopes civilians and soldiers will be able to safely leave a besieged steel mill in Mariupol, Ukraine. Estimates range from hundreds to thousands of people still inside the sprawling complex. This video shows the ongoing fighting at the steel mill. It comes from Chinese state TV. Ukrainian officials say there is a plan to evacuate the people sheltering in the plant, but no details have been given. At the same time, the capital of Ukraine is a city on edge. Russian forces appear to be targeting Kiev once again. Yesterday, 5 missiles slammed into the city, destroying an apartment building and killing a Ukrainian journalist. Now, the deputy mayor of Mariupol says he's optimistic about this latest effort to free civilians, but he's also concerned about the dire conditions inside the plant.
Fortunately, situation is very awful, and I cannot find, and no one cannot find necessary words to describe how awful is it. So more than 1,000 civil citizens found, as they thought, safe place on bomb shelter on Azovstal. This is citizens from nearest destroyed houses and workers of Azovstal with their families. Of course, their life is awful. They could not come outside. There is lack of everything, lack of water, food, lack of medicine, lack of any social help. So they need to be humanitarily evacuated as soon as possible.
Cruise ships were stalled during the pandemic, but just as spring is arriving in Atlantic Canada, so are the tourists. For the first time in 2 years, New Brunswick is welcoming cruise ship visitors. Today, some 125 passengers plus about 300 crew are on board the Seven Seas Navigator in St. John. The ship has been under watch by the U.S. Centre for Disease Control because of COVID cases on board.
Well, staying in St. John, New Brunswick, in a large warehouse on the west side of that city, the crews there are busy working on a post-pandemic project.
Yes, they're revamping shipping containers, creating new spaces for art, shopping, cafes, even a spot for those cruise ship workers just passing through.
Yeah, and they hope to have them in place very soon. Video producer Michael Heenan got an early preview.
So we're in what we call the container loft. So the last 2 months or so, we've been fabricating all of the containers that need modification work for our waterfront container village. It's about 110,000 square feet of space. It's been a great sort of home base for us for welding, for carpentry work, for electrical, for painting, all the things that we need to do in order for this whole project to come together for June. It's actually 54 shipping containers that creates our waterfront container village. A sort of cross-section between modified containers that will house kind of retailers and service providers, vendors, within like a bit of a market type environment, coupled with a stage and like a waterfront viewing area, container bar, and then also what we call Graffiti Alley, which is a place for kind of local art and just kind of a cool place to sit back and have a coffee.
So oftentimes when people think of the cruise ships, they think of the passengers. Those are the ones coming off, going on the shore excursions, spending money in town. But sometimes the people that are often forgotten about are the crew. Oftentimes these crew have been at sea for months and months on rotating contracts, and they just want to connect and talk to their friends and family back home from all over the world. And so we knew that in partnering with Ray and his team with 506, we put in a special request to have a couple of designated containers that is going to make up what we call the crew lounge. It's made up of 3 shipping containers, 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top, and it's going to be a private space just for them, exclusive for them to go in, chill out, unwind, connect to high-speed internet.
The nice thing about the containers themselves is they go up pretty quick. It's almost like Lego, kind of putting it together. So it'll happen quick, and we'll start to kind of see things starting in early June. And our schedule kind of like revolves obviously around cruise. We've got the biggest cruise ship in the world coming in on June 8th. So that is sort of our the date that we've set for ourselves to kind of have our soft open.
Not a lot of people realize just the economic impact that we've all missed out on for the last couple of years. It's over $68 million that floods into southern New Brunswick every cruise ship season, and there are so many stakeholders and so many businesses in the Uptown as well as throughout the Bay of Fundy region that have really been hurting because of the last 2 years with not having this sector. And so I know that I'm excited for the port, but I'm really excited for all of those people that have just hung their hats on this sector and needing it to come back to survive.
It's time to celebrate. Happy 60th anniversary to Harvey and Mary Luffman in Harbour Grace. Anniversary greetings going out to Colleen and Albert Dobbin in Little Bay. They are celebrating their 50th anniversary. Happy 63rd anniversary to Myra and Duke Bowen in Benton. Congratulations to Lee and Agnes Pittman of Cartwright, Labrador, who are celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary today. Best wishes to Patricia and Gordon Vivian. They are celebrating 58 years of marriage.
Happy 54th anniversary to Louis and Mary Noseworthy of Mount Pearl. Wishing Fred and Minnie Randall of Burgeo a happy 56th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary to Norman and Lottie Childs. They're celebrating 61 years of marriage. Happy 50th anniversary to Frederick and Minnie Brown from Gambo. Congratulations to Charles and Rita Ryland from Lansaloo, who are celebrating their 58th anniversary.
Happy 62nd anniversary tomorrow to Max and Joyce Rose in St. John's. Best wishes to John and Elsie Toop from Portugal Cove on their 65th anniversary. And a happy 69th wedding anniversary to Alistair and Janine Chapman in Gander. Anniversary greetings going out to Evelyn and Ned Spearing from Mary's Harbor. It's their 50th anniversary. And here's a milestone, Carolyn, a big one. Annie and Russell Avery in Deep Bite celebrating 70 years of marriage today. They are living in Clarenville.
Wow, congratulations. Best wishes to Wallace and Yvonne Legg. They're celebrating their 50th anniversary. Happy 61st anniversary today to Bob and Dorothy Yetman from Southern Bay, now living in Clarenville. Now to some birthdays. Happy birthday to Edward Adams, who's turning 90 on Sunday. Best wishes to Ida Pete in Paradise. She's turning 102. Hope you have a great day. Happy 94th birthday to Doris West of Gander.
Wishing Edgar Purchase a happy 90th birthday tomorrow, and happy birthday to Leona Shywalk, who is celebrating her 94th birthday. Happy 92nd birthday to Victor Williams in Bay Bulls, and birthday greetings going out to Gordon Lannon of Bishops Falls. He just turned 100. Congratulations. Happy 92nd birthday to Cliff McKay of Stephenville Crossing.
Happy birthday to Eva Stowe from Corner Brook, who turns 102 today. Lots of love from all your family. Happy 90th birthday to Albert Higgins of Spaniards Bay. Wishing Flora Canning of Comfort Cove, Newstead, a happy 94th birthday tomorrow. Happy 97th birthday to May Vincent of Newtown, Bonavista Bay North, now living in Wesleyville. And happy 91st birthday to Charlie Legg. We're told he's the most elderly man in Flat Bay. Well, Anthony, on this day back in 1980, the province got its first look at our new flag. Before that, just the Union Jack and the Canadian flag flapped in the wind outside government buildings.
Right, and that was until artist Christopher Pratt was commissioned to design something all of our own. And as you're about to see, for people who think back to that time, it was not the unanimous decision you might think it was. Not everybody was on board. Have a look.
What's red, white, blue, and yellow, and arranged in the shape of 6 triangles and an arrow? Do you give up? Well, it's the design for the new flag of Newfoundland. It was unveiled in St. John's today. Rick Seward reports.
The proposed flag suggests the Union Jack, which has been the Newfoundland flag for centuries. The white background represents snow and ice, the triangles symbols of native culture. The golden rocket represents a prosperous future for Newfoundland and Labrador. Designed by Newfoundland artist Christopher Pratt, the flag has been in the works since last fall, when a select committee of the legislature was appointed to choose an appropriate design. Today, it was unveiled for members of the House of Assembly for the first time. The immediate reaction of the politicians seemed favorable, but the average Newfoundlander, seeing it for the first time, seemed to have mixed feelings.
Oh, I like that. That's very good too, but I bet it's Union Jack we had.
Oh, it's not too bad. I think it's pretty good. I don't like it. The symbolism is grand, but it's just not eye-catching.
I like it. I think it's nice.
Oh, I would prefer the Union Jack, yes.
Well, I think we should have our own flag, but we shouldn't forget Union Jack just the same, because that belongs to another country, right? Yeah. We should have our own flag, but I mean, there's nobody going to know what that represents, what you got there, unless somebody tells them.
Some Newfoundlanders say the new design is so complex they don't understand it. Others say the flag should have well-known Newfoundland emblems such as the caribou or the pitcher plant. But in spite of the widespread opposition to the design, the government has no intention of changing the flag. John McQuaker reports.
The outcry has been loud. Some say keep the Union Jack.
Others just don't like Pratt's design. And still others complain the government is trying to push the new flag through the House in a hurry before the public can react. In fact, one of the opposition members of the Special Legislative Committee that unanimously recommended the new flag now says he'll vote against it.
This is showing an arrogance, trying to rush this thing through the House.
And the Royal Canadian Legion, which has 8,000 members in the province, also wants the government to give people more time to think about the new flag.
And what we want now, we think that the government should postpone the debate on it and give the citizens of Newfoundland time to make up their mind in a referendum? In a referendum if needed.
So there's only really one organised group who've really come out strongly opposed to many, many other groups who could have been silent and have been extremely responsible from my point of view because I want to see a new flag.
Even though there's been loud vocal opposition to the new flag, the Premier says it won't keep the legislation from being passed. So in a few days, or maybe just a matter of weeks, Newfoundland's new flag, designed by artist Christopher Pratt, will be flying in front of government buildings.
Well,
Love it.
I've always been a fan of that flag, and I
Yeah.
know talking to some certain in-laws and family members from Newfoundland who weren't keen on it, and just didn't get very few provinces have the ability to say, hey, we have this wonderful artist who made our flag. I think it's fantastic. But
It is. It's a beautiful flag. I love seeing those archival pieces, seeing inside the House of Assembly there. And I'd love to ask some of those people if they still think the flag should be changed.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
keep it.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on from that and talk about the weather. So long range forecast, what's in store for us this, I guess you're looking at Sunday into next week.
Yeah, well, we're going to start with tomorrow just because it's the weekend. And in case you missed the forecast a little bit earlier, it is going to be unsettled, unfortunately. A pretty wet start to your weekend. Let's take a look at what's going on through the day on Saturday. We're looking at those temperatures hovering around 5 degrees through the day for St. John's, and again, periods of rain moving through. Winds, nice, not a whole lot to talk about. They'll be out of the north or northeast between in and around 20 kilometers per hour, but the further away from this area of low pressure you go, particularly Lab West and the north, you're actually looking at a pretty nice day tomorrow. I have your temperature around 3 degrees as your afternoon high in Lab City. Otherwise, snow will continue for a good chunk of Labrador, except for the southeast. You're going to see that transition, hence the temperature, 3 degrees for Cartwright. So this takes us through rainfall amounts through Sunday morning. We're looking at about maybe 10 to 20 millimeters is possible for parts of the northern Avalon through parts and then the rest of the eastern areas of the island. But the most rainfall is where we have those rainfall warnings for Cartwright and Norman Bay, Lodge Bay, where you could see somewhere between 20 to 30, maybe even 40 millimeters of rain by the time we get into Sunday morning. There's a closer look there. So what's going to happen going forward? Well, that area of low pressure is going to stick with us, and it is going to keep things unsettled through the night. Eventually, as we see some of that colder air wrap back in, by Sunday, all of that rain will change back over to snow for coastal areas of Labrador. Colder air sinking even further south, so higher elevations on the west coast also may see some of that snow activity. Good chance on Sunday afternoon that we should see some peaks of sun for the Avalon. And that means I've kept those temperatures in the double digits. So as of now, 10 degrees for St. John, same thing for Gander. Again, still looking at the chance of showers, but some peaks of sun as well. Overall, those temperatures will be in the single digits for the west coast, above zero up across Labrador, and another beautiful day, it looks like, for Lab City as well as Nain, where your temperatures should be above zero with some sunshine in the forecast. Now, as we head into Sunday evening and Monday, that area of low pressure still our weather maker, still going to be unsettled right across the board. Accumulations should start to wind down, though, particularly for southeastern areas of the island. And then actually looking at those temperatures climbing a little bit for some areas. We'll be sitting somewhere between 4 to 9 degrees across the island, and above zero again for Labrador between 2 to 5. So temperatures other than that aren't really going to move too much. By the time we get into the middle of next week, we should be sitting between 4 to 8 degrees. Chance of showers will return for the eastern areas of the island, and then for central Newfoundland,
You're looking at about 7 degrees by Tuesday. Wednesday looks like we should reach the double digits. And then Western Newfoundland is looking at a similar warm up by the time we get into Wednesday. Definitely going to be nice after the potential for some snow this weekend. For Eastern Labrador, you're looking at about 7-8 degrees for the middle of next week. And then Western Labrador, after a nice stretch of weather, you'll return to more unsettled conditions by the time we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, speaking of calm, look at this.
Oh, wow.
Not a breath of wind out there.
It's like a mirror.
I know. This is Paul's Lake. Brenda shared this photo with us near Badger. Great shot, isn't it?
Oh,
pretty.
Great spots,
It is.
too. I'd love to be heading to one of those spots this weekend.
That would be nice.
Well, that's it for us for this Friday edition of Here and Now. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Have a great weekend.
Good night.